You're being watched because you carry God's light. Have you ever felt eyes on you, even when you were alone? Have you ever walked into a room and sensed the atmosphere shift, not because of what you said, but because of who you are? There's something about you that draws attention, both wanted and unwanted. You're not like everyone else, and deep down, you know it. You've tried to fit in, to blend with the crowd, to make yourself small just to avoid the stares, the whispers, and the subtle resentment. But no matter how hard you try, the light inside you refuses to dim. What if I told you the reason you're being watched isn't because you're doing something wrong, but because you carry something sacred, something powerful, something divine? You carry God's light. And when you carry His light, you don't go unnoticed. You were never meant to. In a world that grows darker by the day, where selfishness is normalized, cruelty is overlooked, and truth is distorted, those who carry light stand out like a flame in the night. You disrupt the shadows just by existing. Your presence convicts people, not because you're perfect, but because you walk with a kind of clarity, purpose, and grace that they've forgotten or never known. And that makes people uncomfortable. It makes them curious. It makes them watch. But with the light comes the weight. The eyes watching you aren't always friendly. Some admire, some envy, some wait, hoping for your fall. That's the cost of carrying light. It reveals not only who you are, but who others are not ready to become. And that tension creates resistance. It draws criticism, gossip, misunderstanding. But it also draws destiny. Because being watched is not just about scrutiny, it's also about impact. Those who carry the light are not called to hide it under fear, shame, or insecurity. You were not given this light to survive quietly. You were chosen to stand boldly, to lead, to heal, to expose what hides in the dark, and to be a mirror that reminds others of what they, too, could become. You may not have asked for this role. You may not even feel worthy of it. But the light doesn't lie. If you carry it, it means God placed it there. Not by accident, but by divine design. And if He placed it there, then He intends for it to shine. So yes, you are being watched. But it's not a punishment. It's a sign that you are different, a sign that you are marked, a sign that you were born for more. And in the following moments, we are going to explore exactly what it means to carry that light, why it attracts so much attention, how to protect it, and how to walk with it unshaken in a world that tries to extinguish it. The light in you is real, and it's time you stopped hiding it. The light within you is not ordinary. There is something within you that cannot be replicated, manufactured, or explained by the logic of this world. It is not talent, though you may be gifted. It is not charisma, though people may naturally gravitate toward you. And it is not ambition, though you may carry a relentless drive. What you carry is something far greater, God's light. A spark of divine fire placed in your soul before you ever took your first breath. That light is not ordinary. It is not casual. It is sacred, and it has been marking you, shaping you, and setting you apart since the beginning. You may not have always understood it. In fact, most people who carry this light don't. From an early age, they feel different, like outsiders in their own homes, strangers in the world they're born into. They sense things more deeply. They see through the surface of people and situations. While others are distracted by the noise, they hear the silence in between, the call of something higher, something eternal. They feel burdened without knowing why, drawn to truth, repelled by lies, sensitive to injustice, hungry for something more than what this world offers. They are not content with comfort, because they were not created for complacency. That tension, the feeling of never quite belonging, is not a flaw. It is a signal. It is the evidence of the light within. You see, God doesn't place His light in just anyone. He chooses vessels that can endure fire, souls that can survive seasons of isolation, hearts that can be refined through pain. The light is not cheap, and neither is the process that prepares you to carry it. That's why your life has been different. That's why your road has been harder. While others walked smooth paths, yours was jagged and steep. While others were praised, you were questioned. While others blended in, you stood out, even when you didn't want to. You were never given the luxury of hiding because the light in you kept breaking through. The truth is, carrying God's light is not a glamorous assignment. It often comes with brokenness. It comes with loss, betrayal, seasons of darkness that almost convince you the light is gone. But here's the mystery. Those dark nights don't extinguish the light. They strengthen it. Because light does not grow in ease, it grows in resistance. Every time you were crushed, something eternal was being pressed out of you. Every time you were misunderstood, a deeper understanding was being carved into you. Every time you were left alone, the light had room to rise. The world tried to break you, but all it did was polish the lens through which the light could shine brighter. And that's what people sense. That's why they watch you. They don't even know what it is. They just know there's something different. Something they can't name but can't ignore. They're drawn to your strength, your spirit, your peace under pressure. They don't know the battles you've fought just to stand where you are. They don't see the nights you cried out, the days you almost quit, the silent wars you've won behind closed doors. But they feel the weight of the light. They see it in your eyes, in the way you speak truth even when it's uncomfortable, in the way you extend kindness even when you're hurting, in the way you refuse to be anything less than real. That's the thing about God's light. It can't be faked. You either carry it or you don't. And when you do, people notice. Some are inspired. Some are intimidated. Some will try to mimic you, not realizing that what they're drawn to isn't your personality or style. It's the spirit within you. It's the residue of the fire you've walked through. It's the radiance of obedience, of surrender, of quiet courage in the face of chaos. It's the scent of heaven lingering on someone who has wrestled with hell and survived. But here's the part you need to remember. The light was never meant to make you arrogant. It was never given so you could be worshipped. It was entrusted to you so you could serve, speak, and shine. Not for your glory, but for His. Not for attention, but for impact. The light you carry is not about superiority. It's about responsibility. You are not better than others. You are simply burdened with a greater call. And with that call comes the weight of being seen, being studied, being tested. Don't shrink back from that. Don't resent the fact that people are watching you. Don't resent the isolation, the misunderstanding, or even the attacks. Let them come. Because every time someone watches you, they are witnessing the possibility of light in a dark world. They are witnessing hope in a time of despair, faith in an age of cynicism, love in a culture that glorifies hate. Your life is a testimony, even when you don't realize it. And your endurance, your refusal to give up, shut down, or turn bitter, is the evidence that the light is still alive. So walk tall, not with pride, but with purpose. Walk knowing that the light in you has the power to change rooms, shift atmospheres, and awaken hearts. Walk knowing that you didn't choose this light. It chose you. And if God trusted you to carry it, He also equipped you to protect it. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone to understand you. All you need is the clarity to know who you are, the courage to be who you were created to be, and the commitment to keep shining, even when it's easier to hide. You carry God's light, and that is not ordinary. That is extraordinary. That is holy. That is the reason you were set apart, not to impress the world, but to illuminate it. And as long as that light burns in you, no darkness can ever prevail. Why the world watches you so closely? Once you understand that the light you carry is not ordinary, you begin to see the world's reaction to you in a new way. You stop asking, "Why are they watching me?" And you start asking, "What is it about me that makes it impossible for them to look away?" That's when the truth begins to reveal itself. People are watching you, not just out of curiosity, but because you disrupt the equilibrium. You disturb the illusion. You confront what they've tried to ignore. You shine, and that shine exposes everything that has been hiding in the dark. Understand this. People who walk in darkness do not like to be reminded that light exists. It's not that they hate you. It's that your presence reminds them of the parts of themselves they have buried. You become a mirror. You don't even have to speak. Your life, your choices, your strength, your values, they all reflect what others wish they had the courage to embody. That reflection can be inspiring, but it can also be infuriating. Because the light convicts. It doesn't attack. It simply reveals. And not everyone is ready to be seen. This is why you will often find yourself misjudged. Not because you're wrong, but because your rightness is uncomfortable. Not because you're unkind, but because your honesty exposes falsehood. You'll be labeled as too much, too intense, too different, simply because you refuse to conform. You'll be accused of arrogance when all you're doing is walking in confidence. You'll be blamed for things you didn't do, targeted for reasons that are never explained, excluded from spaces where your presence would bring truth. That's the price of visibility. That's what happens when you carry light in a world that has grown addicted to shadows. And the watching? Oh, it's constant. Some watch because they hope to see you fall. They can't understand how someone like you keeps rising, keeps enduring, keeps shining when everything should have broken you. So they watch, waiting for the moment you crack, the moment you fail, the moment they can say, "See, they weren't real after all." But what they don't know is that your strength doesn't come from you. It comes from the one who placed the light within you. And what God plants, no man can uproot. Others watch because they are secretly inspired. They may never say it to your face. They may never give you the credit. But they are watching to learn. Watching to see how you carry yourself, how you navigate storms, how you hold your peace in chaos, how you love without bitterness. Your life is a lesson they're studying, even if they pretend to be indifferent. And then there are those who watch you because they want to understand you, to control you, or to imitate you. Be careful with these ones, because not everyone who admires your light wants to protect it. Some want to consume it. Some want to steal it. Some want to be near you, not for who you are, but for what you represent. They are drawn to your flame, but have no intention of keeping it burning. You have to be wise about who you let close. Just because they watch you doesn't mean they walk with you. And just because they complement your light doesn't mean they can carry the weight of it. Protect your energy. Protect your purpose. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Don't waste your oil on those who mock the anointing. Your time, your presence, your attention, these are sacred gifts. Give them only to those who honor the light you carry. But in all this, don't become paranoid. Don't let the watching make you fearful. Let it make you aware. Let it sharpen your discernment. But never let it steal your joy. You were not created to live under the pressure of pleasing people. You were created to live under the power of divine calling. And that calling will always place you in the spotlight, not for fame, but for purpose. Not for popularity, but for impact. You don't shine to entertain. You shine to awaken. You shine to lead. You shine to break chains and shift atmospheres, and remind people of what is possible when God dwells within a human soul. Yes, the world is watching. But that doesn't mean you owe it a performance. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to explain your journey to those who were never meant to understand it. You don't have to hide your pain or dress up your process to make others comfortable. You are not here to meet their expectations. You are here to fulfill your assignment. And let me tell you something even deeper. The enemy watches too. The darkness studies the light with intensity. It knows your potential. It knows your influence. And it fears what will happen if you fully embrace who you are. That's why you've been attacked so much. That's why you've faced resistance in areas that should have been easy. That's why people have tried to silence you, discredit you, confuse you. It's not personal. It's spiritual. It's not about your personality. It's about your light. And your light is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. But you were not chosen to live in hiding. You were not placed here to be invisible. You were sent to shine, even under scrutiny. Especially under scrutiny. Your resilience is a revelation. Your life is a prophecy. And your obedience is a weapon. The more they watch, the more they witness the glory of God moving through you. So let them watch. Let them speculate. Let them criticize. Their watching doesn't define you. It confirms you. It proves that your presence is powerful, your path is uncommon, and your calling is undeniable. You don't need to be liked. You need to be lit. And as long as the fire in you is burning, no amount of eyes on you can stop what God is doing through you. How to protect your light in a dark world. When you carry God's light, you also carry the responsibility of guarding it. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because while the light within you is powerful, it is also precious. And anything precious must be protected, not because it is weak, but because it is rare. You were not sent into this world to expose your soul to everyone, to pour your spirit into every conversation, or to let your sacredness be handled carelessly. You were given this light to shine, yes, but also to steward. And in a world that is growing colder, darker, and more confused, the call to protect your light is not just survival. It is obedience. The first way to protect your light is to guard your atmosphere. You cannot thrive in environments that drain you, disrespect you, or constantly contradict the values your light was built on. Some of you are suffocating spiritually, not because your light is fading, but because you are standing in places where your fire cannot breathe. You're trying to shine in rooms that were never designed to hold your brilliance. You're surrounded by people who do not celebrate your glow. They compete with it, mock it, or pretend not to see it. That's not humility. That's sabotage. And your soul knows it. Your light is not meant to dim just to make others comfortable. If your presence constantly has to shrink for peace to exist, then what you're in is not peace. It's manipulation. You cannot continue to trade your identity for acceptance. You cannot keep placing yourself in the hands of people who don't have the spiritual maturity to value your calling. Your assignment requires discernment. And discernment starts with knowing this. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they belong with you. Proximity does not equal purpose. Energy does not equal alignment. Some people are simply not equipped to carry the weight of your light, and that's okay. Let them go. You must also guard your focus. Your light is tied to your vision, and nothing dulls vision like distraction. In a world that thrives on noise, confusion, and endless comparison, protecting your light means being intentional with your attention. Not everything deserves your response. Not every battle deserves your sword. Not every invitation is divine. You are not called to chase everything that sparkles. Some opportunities are traps. Some conversations are setups. Some relationships are disguised attacks. If the enemy cannot destroy your light, he will attempt to scatter it, spread it so thin across unnecessary drama, pointless opinions, and emotional exhaustion that you forget why you were burning in the first place. Remember this, the enemy is not always obvious. He often comes as validation, as opportunity, as applause. He shows up in the form of good things that pull you away from God things. But just because something is allowed doesn't mean it's aligned. Your assignment is too serious for distraction. You must protect your mind. Feed it with truth. Wash it with prayer. Cover it in clarity. Because what lives in your mind will eventually shape what flows from your spirit. And if your mind is cluttered, your light will flicker. Another way to protect your light is by guarding your heart. Offense is a thief. Bitterness is a thief. Resentment, betrayal, rejection, these are all poisons that can sneak into your soul and start to corrode your flame from the inside out. You must forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Your light was never meant to burn with the fuel of rage. You shine from a place of purity, not vengeance. You shine from love, not ego. Every time you hold on to hurt, you block the flow of heaven through your life. Your heart cannot shine if it is heavy. So release what is not yours to carry. Heal what is yours to restore. Do not let darkness grow roots in you. And then, protect your quiet time. There is no true light without intimacy with its source. You do not shine because you are talented, eloquent, or smart. You shine because you spend time in the fire of God's presence. It is in the still moments, when no one is watching, when the world is silent, when it's just you and God, that your light is rekindled. That is where clarity returns. That is where strength is renewed. That is where the flame burns brighter. Without that place of intimacy, your light will turn into performance. You'll shine out of pressure, not purpose. You'll glow for approval, not from alignment. So don't skip that time. Don't neglect that altar. Guard it with your life. You can be surrounded by thousands and still feel empty if the connection to your source is broken. You can have platforms, influence, money, and still be flickering in your soul. The world does not need more influencers. It needs more illuminated vessels, those who shine from the inside out because they are lit by something eternal. Lastly, protect your testimony. Your story is sacred. Your scars are holy. Your process, the valleys you've walked through, the storms you've survived, is not just for you. It is part of your flame. Every tear, every failure, every lesson was fuel for the fire. Don't let anyone shame you into silence. Don't let the fear of judgment keep you from being real. Your authenticity is light. When you show up honest, when you speak from a place of truth and transformation, others find the courage to face their own darkness. Your testimony doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be pure. You don't need to impress. You just need to shine. And that shine is not about volume. It's about presence. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because you've been through the fire and still carry the glow. That kind of light cannot be taught. It must be protected. So yes, the world is dark. And yes, the attacks are real. But so is your light. So is your purpose. So is the hand of God on your life. And if you commit to protecting your light, it will never go out. You will not burn out. You will not break. You will not fade. You will rise. You will lead. And you will become a lighthouse in a generation drowning in confusion. Protect your light, not because you're afraid of the dark, but because you were born to overcome it. You were never meant to live hidden. You were not created to stay small, to shrink yourself, to silence your truth in order to blend in with a world that fears what it cannot control. That light in you, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a calling, a divine intention. God didn't light your soul so you could keep it buried beneath fear, insecurity, or shame. He lit you up so you could shine, so you could pierce the darkness, so you could lead the way, so you could become a living, breathing reminder that heaven still walks on earth. There comes a time when you must stop apologizing for the light you carry. A time when you must stop explaining why you think differently, walk differently, dream differently. You are not here to justify your existence. You are here to fulfill it. And you cannot fulfill what you were born for if you're constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering who's watching. Yes, they're watching. They always will be. But that's not your concern. You don't shine for their approval. You shine because it's who you are. You shine because you were set apart. You shine because there are people stumbling in the dark who are waiting for someone like you to rise. You don't need permission to be powerful. You don't need validation to speak truth. And you don't need the crowd's applause to step into your divine assignment. The light in you is already evidence that you were marked for more. People may question it. They may try to put it out. But they didn't give it to you, so they can't take it away. Only you can silence your light. Only you can dim your flame. And the world will do everything it can to convince you to do just that. It will throw judgment at you, accusation, rejection. It will try to twist your light into pride, to call your clarity arrogance, to label your authority as rebellion. But hear this. You were never meant to follow their script. You were meant to break their pattern. Every generation needs a voice that refuses to be tamed, a light that refuses to flicker, a soul that refuses to settle. That's why you're here. Not to echo the noise, but to be a new sound. Not to decorate the darkness, but to destroy it. That's why the battles have been so heavy. That's why the warfare has been so personal. Because you're not just anyone, you're chosen. And when you're chosen, you don't get to walk the easy path. You don't get to hide behind the crowd. You are called to stand, to rise, to shine, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when no one else is willing to. There will be moments when your light will cost you. Relationships will fall away. Doors will close. People will misunderstand you. You will be labeled as too intense, too righteous, too spiritual. But don't dim down just to make others feel better about living in shadows. You are not too much. You are necessary. You are the answer to someone's silent prayer. The evidence that God still works through people. The light in you is not a threat. It's a promise. A promise that hope still exists. That truth still matters. That heaven still invades the ordinary. When you embrace that truth, everything changes. You stop begging for seats at tables that were never built for you. You stop chasing affirmation from people who were never assigned to understand you. You stop explaining your calling to those who are too blind to see the weight of what you carry. And instead, you walk forward with fire in your bones, love in your heart, and light in your eyes. You walk knowing that you were never meant to be hidden behind fear, wounded by rejection, or chained by expectation. You were meant to illuminate, to shift atmospheres, to change narratives, to awaken purpose in those who've forgotten theirs. But here's what you must never forget. Shining is not about ego. It's not about spotlight or recognition. It's about obedience. It's about honoring the God who placed something eternal inside of you. It's about surrendering your fear and saying, use me, even if it costs me. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost your comfort. It will cost your silence. It may even cost your sense of safety. But it will give you everything in return: purpose, clarity, strength, and impact. You will lose what's fake and gain what's real. You will shed the opinions of man and step into the approval of heaven. And when you shine, really shine, not only will people watch, but some will follow. They'll be drawn to the light, not because it's perfect, but because it's honest, because it's raw, because it's real. You'll inspire others to step into their own light. You'll remind them of who they were before life told them to settle. And that, my friend, is the legacy of a light bearer. Not just to survive, but to awaken. Not just to rise, but to lift. Not just to exist, but to blaze a trail so bright, so true, that others find their way home. So don't be afraid of being watched. Don't be afraid of being studied, criticized, or misunderstood. Let the world watch. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Your light is not for their entertainment. It is for their transformation. And if you have to shine alone for a while, so be it. The sun rises every morning without needing permission, and so can you. You were meant to shine, no matter who's watching. You were meant to be bold. You were meant to be different. You were meant to be light in the darkest places. And when you finally embrace that truth, fully, unapologetically, heaven backs you. The same God who placed that fire in your soul will sustain it. So walk forward. Head high, shoulders back, eyes open, heart pure. You carry God's light. Shine like it. Always.